Today, we're going to talk about something that's absolutely critical in the high-stakes world of healthcare. It's all about what separates leaders who truly elevate their teams from those who, well, unintentionally drain them. Let's dive in. So where is all this coming from? Well, these insights are part of some really important ongoing work by the Culture Coalition. They're always on the lookout for powerful leadership models that can genuinely transform how teams work and feel. And for this explainer, we are diving deep into the amazing research of Liz Wiseman, which she lays out in her fantastic book, Multipliers. Her work gives us a really clear, actionable way to think about leadership. Which brings us to the big question, right? For every physician, nurse, or APP leader out there, in an environment where literally every decision can impact a patient's life, how on earth do you make sure you are getting every single ounce of intelligence and capability from your team? Wiseman's research found that, really, leaders tend to fall into one of two camps. And what's so important to get is that this isn't about personality. It has nothing to do with being an introvert or an extrovert. It's all about the impact they have on the intelligence of the people around them. And this right here is the absolute core of it. It all boils down to a fundamental assumption. The diminisher, deep down, believes they're not going to figure this out without me. But the multiplier, they start from a totally different place. People are smart. They'll figure it out. That one tiny shift in mindset changes absolutely everything. And the impact? It's kind of shocking, honestly. Wiseman's research showed that diminishers get less than half, less than 50% of their team's available brain power. Just think about that for a second. More than half of your team's intelligence and capability is just sitting there completely untapped. Now contrast that with multipliers. They get almost double that. They're accessing somewhere between 70 and 100% of their team's capability. See, they don't just use intelligence, they actually amplify it. It's like doubling the size of your team's collective brain without hiring a single new person. Now, there's a really great story behind this quote. It's about a Navy sailor named Derek. He was super talented, but under a micromanaging diminisher-style leader, he performed so poorly they actually removed him from his post. But just a few months later, under a new multiplier leader who trusted him, Derek started setting new performance records. It's just so powerful. Same guy, different leader, totally different outcome. Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into the negative side of this. Let's talk about the diminisher effect. How exactly do these leaders end up shutting down intelligence? It really comes down to neuroscience. You see, diminishers tend to create these high-stress, high-anxiety environments, and this triggers something called an amygdala hijack. It's basically the brain's fight-or-flight survival mode kicking in, and when it does, it shuts down the prefrontal cortex, the part you need for all that important stuff like logic and critical thinking. And in a hospital, that is downright terrifying. A resident, a nurse, anyone on the care team who's having an amygdala hijack, they literally cannot do the complex problem solving you need for a critically ill patient. Their brain just isn't working right. Patient safety is put directly at risk. Now, here's a really important twist. Most of this isn't done by bad people or bullies. Nope. It's done by well-meaning leaders who have no idea they're having a negative impact. The research calls them accidental diminishers. So, be honest. Do any of these sound a little familiar? The rescuer who swoops in to save the day, but accidentally teaches their team that they can't solve problems on their own. Or the pace setter, the super achiever who works so fast, they just create an audience instead of a team of fellow players. And the perfectionist, the one whose constant edits just teaches the team to turn in sloppy first drafts, because why bother? It's going to get redone anyway. All of these start with good intentions, but end with diminishing results. Okay, so enough about the problem. How do we actually shift from accidentally diminishing to intentionally multiplying? Well, the research gives us a roadmap, 5 key disciplines. These 5 practices are basically the secret sauce of being a multiplier. You've got the talent magnet, the liberator, the challenger, the debate maker, and the investor. Let's quickly break each one down. First up, the talent magnet. These leaders don't just see skills on a resume. They find each person's unique native genius, that thing they do brilliantly and almost without trying. And then they put that genius to work on the biggest, toughest challenges, which of course makes other talented people want to come work with them. Second, we have the liberator.
These leaders create this amazing atmosphere of both psychological safety and intensity. They give people the freedom to think big, to try new things, even to make mistakes, because they know that's where the real learning happens. But here's the deal. In exchange for that freedom, they demand your absolute best work. Number 3 is the challenger, and I absolutely love this analogy. They stretch the team like a rubber band. They do this by setting a huge, ambitious goal, something that feels just a little bit impossible. This creates this productive tension. The team can't stay where they are. They have to grow and innovate to reach the goal.
The fourth discipline is the debate maker. So instead of making all the tough calls alone, they frame the critical question for the team. Think about it in a clinical setting, like, okay, what is the absolute best care plan for this highly complex patient? And then they facilitate a really rigorous debate, making sure every angle is covered before a final decision is made.
And finally, the investor. This quote just nails it. An investor gives their team members true ownership. They basically say, look, you are in charge of this. You've got 51% of the vote. They'll provide support and resources, sure, but they make it crystal clear that that person owns the outcome and is 100% accountable for the results. All right, let's bring it all home. Why is this model so incredibly important in healthcare, especially right now? Well, the payoff is just massive. When you lead like a multiplier, you get way better problem solving, especially for your most complex cases. And that, of course, leads directly to safer and better patient outcomes. You also see a huge drop in burnout and turnover because people feel like their talent is actually being used. You end up building this resilient, engaged culture where learning and safety are just baked into everything you do. So this all brings us to the final and maybe the most important part of all this. What do you actually do with this information? So I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. Based on everything we just talked about, what is one small, specific thing you can do this week to shift away from accidentally diminishing and start intentionally multiplying the incredible genius that is already on your team?